Welcome to Great Question, a manufacturing podcast. This is a special series called Ask a Plant Manager, the monthly podcast where we tackle questions that maybe sound simple on the surface, but are a lot messier on the plant floor, or questions and topics that sound overwhelming until you break them down into simple practices. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna Townshend. I'm the new chief editor of Plant Services. I've been working for many years with our former editor, Tom Wilk, on this brand, and he's moved on to be head of content for Industry Week, and I'm very, very privileged to take over this position. With me is Joe Kuhn, the one you're all really here for. Joe is a plant services columnist and a retired plant manager, and now consultant, writer, and YouTube creator who shares his lessons from his time in the manufacturing world, and sometimes lessons from retirement as well. But Joe, thanks for being here today.
I'm excited to be here. Congratulations on the new assignment. I'm ready for the questions.
Thanks so much. So Joe is a bona fide YouTube influencer in the retirement space, and he has been encouraging me for a long time to take our podcast to YouTube. So here we are in the flesh or on a computer screen. But if you're listening to this podcast, you can watch the video version too on our website. So Joe, thanks for the encouragement. I think this is a great way to reach new people who aren't maybe podcast listeners, and a great way for me to reintroduce myself to our audience in my new role.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm excited.
All right. The format of this series has always been pretty straightforward. I bring the questions that I hear from maintenance reliability professionals and plant leaders and trends that we see in the industry. Joe brings the perspective of someone who has spent decades leading plants and dealing with these issues in real life. So, Joe, today's question is one that I think every maintenance and reliability professional has probably encountered at some point. So, what maintenance shortcuts do you see me most often, and which ones cause the biggest problems?
Yeah, I'm probably going to give an unusual answer to this. Okay. And I've got three or four responses, but my first one, the biggest shortcut I see maintenance organizations making is not doing observation on the shop floor first. Okay. And when I say observation, that is knowing what you do well and what you do poorly, where the waste is in your plant. Most people look at KPIs and then they just, say, hey, we need to do better on planning and scheduling. We need to be better at tracking failures. They just have these opinions and they don't go to the shop floor and do intense observation to know what to work on. That's where this equipment and the people, the processes are screaming what you should be working on. And they skip that stage and they get frustrated when they don't get the results that they're looking for in 6 months, a year, or 2 years. So the secondary to that, and that's the biggest by far, the shortcuts I see when I'm doing observation on the shop floor is you go out and you see PMs that are cut short. Okay. This may be, hey, we're PM in this conveyor system and it's supposed to be a 4 hour PM, and production says, hey, we only have 2 hours. We really need to get back up and running. We ran poorly the last 5 days. What can you do? And maintenance does, they lubricate half of it. They don't pay attention to any belts or chains that are on it, and they just button it back up. And then they check PM is complete because it's a monthly PM. We'll just get to it next month. Well, what that does is that goes into your CMMS and you see it failed, or you see that, well, you'll see that the PM's completed and you'll look back at the last 5 years. We're doing all the PMs, but yet we're having all this unplanned downtime. Well, you've made this shortcut and gave yourself some bad information. So that's what I see when I go out on the shop floor, that those PMs are just shortcutted. Another shortcut is root cause investigations. You may have, I'm remembering this one plant out in Washington State. They wanted me to observe a job, and it was this big bucket elevator. It was carrying from material from the basement floor up 3 stories. This bucket elevator was their number one drain of manpower, but when I went out there and observed it, I was talking to the mechanic doing the job. He couldn't lubricate the backside bearings because he needed to lock and tag that, and that took more time. So management said, get the bucket elevator back together as fast as you can. And they weren't lubricating it. And so they failed. This failed every quarter, and it was about 3 days of unplanned downtime. So just a shortcut of root causing. Why can't you go to the backside? They couldn't do it for safety reasons, but what other solutions could they have? The mechanic told me it's just put in an extended grease line, that they can lubricate while the equipment's running from the front side. So it was simple things, but the process is speaking to you. And what I see, the shortcut is people don't listen to the mechanics, they don't listen to the technicians, and they're not watching the process. No question, that to me is the biggest shortcut I see. Yes, I do see. We need to get a piece. It's always production pressure. It's always production pressure. Hey, can we get that gearbox, that failed? Can we get it, replace it, get it back in service? I know it takes 8 hours. Can you get it to us in 4? And well, we don't quite balance it. Okay. We don't balance it right. And then we all feel good. And then 4 months later, it fails again. And maybe more catastrophically. So, not doing precision maintenance. That's very common to see, but I'm telling you, the observation will change how you do maintenance. Totally change how you do maintenance if you do that step, and it's always skipped.
Okay. Well, let's talk about why these shortcuts happen. You pointed to production pressure. Is it always a result of time pressure and production demands? Are there times you can point to something deeper, like staffing issues, inadequate planning, or a weak maintenance culture?
Yeah, great question. Great follow-up. I'm telling you, I wanted to say when you were talking, I wanted to say it's always time pressure. I did earlier. It's always time pressure, it's always production. But if you ask why one more time, it's a weak culture. It's the belief that hey, maintenance is a necessary evil. You guys, you don't work efficiently. Just get it back to me as fast as possible. Yeah, we ran bad for the last 5 days with production issues, but that 8 hour maintenance outage, man, if we can cut that to 2 or skip it altogether, we get a boost because of our own performance. So maintenance is about maintaining the performance of the asset. And people forget that. They call it maintenance. Maintain performance, maintain the quality standard. I really think that weak culture is at the bottom of all this. Now, that I've kind of pointed the weak culture there as blaming operations of not trusting maintenance, but there's two sides to that coin. Maintenance, if you want to aggravate a production manager, schedule an 8 hour outage when they're behind schedule. They're behind schedule. They need every coil, every part, every widget they can possibly get. You schedule a maintenance outage from 7 to 3 and have your crew show up at 8:30. And then have your crew, take a 90-minute lunch break. Have your crew, quit early. Have them, stop looking, working on the job at 2 o'clock. Have your crew driving around looking for parts. They go, production manager gives you this precious, precious time, and you don't treat it like an Indianapolis 500 pit stop. So there's two sides of that coin. Maintenance, you got to be efficient. You've got a critical outage. That means you practice. You tell everybody what work we're going to do in what order. You pre-stage the parts. You check out the parts. You make sure that you have any equipment available. And when that equipment is given to you at 7 o'clock, you have people out there, let's say 7:15, right after a toolbox talk. But at 7:15, they're not looking for parts. They're not looking for the gearbox. They're not looking for the chain. It is staged, checked out, all the parts are there. So it's really cultural. Once you buy into hey, this 8 hour outage is going to be efficient and it's going to maintain our operations, maintain the performance of the asset, then you got a bond of trust. So I would say trust is what you got to establish. Trust, the operations need the trust that maintenance is going to do an efficient job, and maintenance needs to trust that production is going to give them the work and give them the time to do the job. Once that trust is established, I didn't have a problem with shortcuts.
Yeah, that's a powerful point about culture. And, we have talked a lot about that tension between maintenance and operations. And when you're talking about these shortcuts, when one short gets accepted, then it becomes the new standard. And that really, I think, is a management issue too, in terms of building and sustaining that culture. But you pointed to one quick example earlier, but I'm wondering if you have any other kind of seemingly small shortcuts that can really turn into a major reliability or a safety issue down the line. Sometimes those stories really stick with people.
Yeah, this may not be a perfect fit to that question, but it's what comes to mind. Okay. We were having problems getting all the work done at a power plant I worked at. And so one of the things they took away from the maintenance people was lubrication of equipment. So they said, hey, any bozo with minimal training could go out and top off oil levels, can grease fittings, can look at sight glasses. This is so easy to do. We're going to give that. And I call this a shortcut because it's a shortcut to getting more work done. And we don't train the operations people on how critical lubrication is. And it's actually a precision activity. Okay. So that happened to, we did that. Well, I inherited that. That's the job I went into. I was the, production or the plant manager at this coal-fired power plant. And we had it was a fan, a combustion air fan that, fed the boiler, and it failed. And it failed on a hot day. And we had to purchase, so the unit went down, the generator unit went down. It cost us $1 million in energy that we had to purchase. That one event cost $1 million. And when we dug into it, I went out on the shop floor and I would talk to operators, and they said, "Hey, are you inspecting this?" And they go, "Yeah, when we come into work, sometimes there's some safety issues to deal with. Sometimes there's some generation, there's some housekeeping issues. And at the end of the day, if we have time, we go and do this oil analysis or inspection of the sight glasses and top things off. And then I would go to the next operator and they'd say, I think Joe does that. It's not me. And they're supposed to be doing it every shift. But what happens, it's such an easy thing to say, hey, we can get more manpower. We'll just have production do some of these easy maintenance tasks. Well, one of the questions you need to ask yourself, when that production person comes in, where is lubrication on their priority list that shift? Is it number one, two? It's typically 10 to 15. And so then it stops being done, and then you have failures. That was $1 million lesson for me. We created lubrication techs and made it their number one goal. Number one goal, we sent them to training. So the lubrication got done every shift with precision, the right amount. They didn't just put in the oil that was on their buggy or that was convenient. They worried about contamination. They worried about water problems. That one just was a powerful lesson for me, and I put it under the shortcut heading. Some people may say that's not a shortcut. Yes, this was a shortcut. It was how do we go from having 20 mechanics to 25? Hey, let's just have some production people do it in their free time. Okay, so that's man, $1 million will stick with you for a long time, Anna.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And it's easy for management to say, don't take shortcuts, but it's much harder to build the staffing and the planning and the expectations that actually make that possible. So, in that vein, last question from me. Most people listening have probably taken a shortcut one time or another on the plant floor. So, how do plant leaders create an environment where people don't feel forced into making those trade-offs? What systems, behaviors, what expectations can help maintenance teams do the job right the first time?
Well, what management needs to do is support their craftspeople. Whenever a craftsperson says, "Hey, I've got a 4-hour PM," and then they discover 2 hours in, this is going to take 6 hours because I found four problems. So do you want to shut it, give me the extra time, or do you want to duct tape it back together? Well, if management says duct tape it back together and just get it running and we'll go after it later, that turns into the culture. Just patch it and go on, patch it and go on, patch it and go on. And management, if they change and say, I'm not saying it's always the right decision to take the additional downtime. Maybe you patch it and then you get it, 4 days later. But a culture of fixing things with precision needs to be, your goal, not patch, 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 patch. The culture sees that. The culture sees that, and if they say, "Hey, management, all they care is about is getting this back together," and they actually reward me. I've heard this so many times. You got a 4-hour PM, and they get it done in two. Management says, "Great job, you got it done in two." Well, how did you get it done in two? Did you do it the full PM? Did you get it with precision? Management, so it's got to go and see. Hey, let's go out and see how you did that. And maybe then the standard needs to change to two. Most often, they rush the job. They didn't do it, with precision. So management needs to, set the expectation that, hey, we're doing precision work and we're going to follow up and audit. That's not trying to play gotcha. That's just showing how important it is. That PM that you're doing is important. It's important enough for me to come out of my office, to not go to that meeting, to go out and talk to the mechanic that did the job and say, "Yes, thank you. You did that with precision. How was balancing that shaft? How long did it take you to do it?" Oh, we're real. They'll talk for 20 minutes on how, easy it was or difficult it was to balance that. And then when you have that conversation, they know that that's important. Okay. So I'm telling you, shortcuts, they're all about management. The management expectation, management sets the tone, management sets the culture. And that starts with getting out of your office, going and see, talking to the mechanic. You can change a culture real fast. People get intimidated by the word culture. Change the culture, change the culture. How do you change a culture? One experience at a time. Create one event for one mechanic, create another event for an electrician tomorrow. 6 months from now, you change the culture.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the importance of culture, probably every episode, I think. But this was also, I think, a great discussion about that tension between production speed and maintenance discipline and where they can sort of butt heads. And the quickest fix isn't always probably going to be your fastest path to reliability. Are you optimizing for today's production number, or are we trying to optimize for that long-term reliability? Those aren't always the same thing, as you pointed out. But
Yeah.
Joe,
And
thank
this,
you as always.
one thing I will add is this is why I preach it's critical for operations to own reliability. You'll stop the blame game when both, maintenance is responsible for efficient maintenance and production is responsible for the reliability of the equipment. That is a big step in the right direction to establishing trust and establishing ownership.
Yep, we have a great episode about that from way back. Go check it out. Can find it in our library. All right. Well, thank you to our listeners also for joining us. You've been listening to Great Question, a manufacturing podcast. This is a special series presentation with Joe Kuhn called Ask a Plant Manager. I'm Anna Townshend with Plant Services. We'll see you next question.